Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing okay. This is going to be my last pregnancy update. If you can see lots of mess behind me, I am so sorry. For reasons that I will mention in this video, we are getting the Christmas decorations up this week. And my inner child is so happy. We were going to wait until a little bit later, but some things have come up which I will go through in this video. But yeah, this is going to be my last pregnancy update, and I am so overwhelmed with how fast this pregnancy has gone. My husband Tom was going to sit in this video and kind of give like his input, but our car is currently having some routine repairs done on it, and he said there was not much point in coming home because it'll be done in a couple of hours. So it's just me, and this is going to be the last pregnancy update I ever film, I think. Yeah, I did a little clip for my like third trimester vlog yesterday, kind of like wrapping everything up and how emotional I feel about the fact that this is probably our last baby and we're not going to have any more children. And I did get very emotional and start crying, but it's okay. If the universe thinks that we can provide for another child, or we, you know, that's on the cards for us, then so be it. But for us personally, we do feel like we are done with children, and it makes me kind of sad, but that's okay. So yeah, let's jump right into this final pregnancy update. So I'll get the biggest thing out of the way first. I am being induced in 5 days. Today is Wednesday, and this time on Monday I could be in the hospital being induced. So I'm being induced at 37 weeks, which was 3 weeks earlier than originally planned. Because I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, the original plan was to not let me go past my due date and to induce me at 40 weeks. But because of reasons that I'll mention in this video, I'm now being induced at 37 weeks. So we have been rushing around the house trying to get everything sorted. Don't know if you can see, but we've got little man's Moses basket ready to go. Hospital bags are packed. If you haven't watched my what's in my hospital bag video, then I'll pop that down below, because I had to pack that bag very quickly. I mean, the most of it was packed already, but I had to finish packing it very quickly. But yeah, we are pretty much all prepped. It's just like last minute things that can be packed on the day, and we don't know what time we're being called, like I'm being called in yet. So that's going to be an on the day thing. Like as soon as we know the time, we can then start packing phone chargers and everything like that. But yeah, I am being induced at 37 weeks, which is insane that I'm being induced in 5 days. This time next week I will probably have a newborn, which is bonkers. So I'll go through the actual reasoning now of why I'm being induced at 37 weeks. So because I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, babies tend to grow a little bit bigger because of the excess insulin in the bloodstream and the excess blood glucose, and that goes to the baby, which makes them grow a little bit bigger. So if you've been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, at least in the UK, you'll be offered growth scans, usually around every like 4 weeks ish. So it's usually 28, 32 and then 36. I didn't have that, so my scans were all going okay, all routine, and then there was a sudden dip in his growth, and his growth had actually started to slow down, and he was measuring quite small, which was obviously a bit concerning. And also they found that the resistance of blood in my umbilical cord is called the umbilical PI, which is basically like the pressure in the umbilical cord was, it gone from being normal and then it just shot up. So that was a bit concerning. So I met with the diabetic doctors, and they said we're a bit concerned about this umbilical PI reading, so what we'll do is we'll refer you to another consultant in fetal medicine. And it turns out it was actually the same consultant who placed my cervical stitch. So I'd met him before. It was absolutely fabulous knowing that I didn't have to meet yet another doctor who I didn't know the name of, and it was someone that I was comfortable with. So they said, can you come in later on this afternoon and we'll do another scan and see if his readings are any better. So that happened. I went back in the afternoon, saw the other consultant, and he said that his readings were reading even higher, and he did multiple. So he decided to do a little bit more digging as to why that could be happening. And it turns out that I have something called placental insufficiency, which is where the placenta didn't form properly. It's nothing I could have done, but basically my placenta just has like little pockets of nothing in it. Some people might ask, well, how come it wasn't discovered sooner at all your other scans? I think it's because it can sometimes be mistaken for, I can't remember the name of it, but it's very common where you have pockets of blood in your placenta. And I have seen pictures of both. The consultant showed me pictures of both, and they do look very, very similar. There are only very small differences on how you can tell if there's blood in there and if there's not, but there's literally just nothing in these little pockets in my placenta. So baby hasn't been getting the full amount of oxygen and nutrients that he needs. It's not, he's still very happy in there, he's still moving about lots, but obviously it could turn dangerous very, very quickly. So from that point, I have been deemed a high risk pregnancy, quite high risk, because what can happen is the blood flow can either completely stop or it can start going the opposite way, so where baby uses its own blood supply to feed back to the placenta, rather than the placenta feeding to the baby, and that is obviously, that can have devastating effects. So I have to keep an eye on baby's movements, and I am being seen, or I have been seen, twice weekly at the hospital for the past few weeks to keep an eye on everything, and fingers crossed, touch wood, everything, it's all been okay. The readings are as they are, you know, I'm still going to have high pressure in the umbilical cord, my placenta isn't going to change, and he is measuring very small. So my last scan, I'm having another one tomorrow, my final one is tomorrow, but at my last scan with the consultant he was measuring bang on 5 pounds. So I'm hoping that he gains a little bit more before Monday, because he has to be over 2 kilos without going into the NICU. Obviously, if he has issues with breathing, then they'll take him up to the NICU, but we need to get him feeding basically as soon as possible. So that is why I'm being induced in 5 days' time, because we don't want to keep him in there too long, and it's a case of, you know, he's better out than in at 37 weeks. His lungs are fully developed, his digestive system is fully developed, and that'll be kick-started once he starts feeding. So it'll probably be better just to get him out at 37 weeks rather than have these risks come up potentially for another 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm sorry if that was very, very confusing, but yeah, that is why I'm being induced at 37 weeks. So I trust my consultant completely, and I think he's making the right choice. It's kind of scary, but I know that he's in good hands. So yeah, that is the long and short of why this is my last pregnancy update. So let's move on to the rest. So as I said, I'm having scans twice a week, and I've also been having CTGs, which is basically like a trace on the baby twice a week after these appointments. And he has been happy as Larry. They've been perfect traces. He has been, you know, not bothered at all. So yeah, we're just gonna have to, I've got one more tomorrow, so I've got one more scan and then one more CTG, and then on Monday it's the big day. So yeah, if you are diagnosed with placental insufficiency or IUGR, which is intrauterine restrictive growth or growth restriction, then be expected to be in hospital a lot. And if, you know, it's going to cost you a lot of money in terms of parking and things like that, have a chat with the hospital staff and see if they can help. But yeah, if you are diagnosed, you will get through it, and it will be okay. Trust your consultant, and if you, like, ask questions if you have them, because I've gone into every appointment. I've probably asked the same question more than once, but that's what they're there for. They're there to help you and your baby. So if you have any questions for them, please ask them. So I have been getting a lot of belly pain. They've not been contractions. I have been getting contractions at least once or twice a day, just Braxton Hicks. But it's especially when I'm like laying down in bed and I need to roll over. I can feel like all the ligaments and stuff just stretching, and it's so painful. And I've also been getting, it's some days it's like I don't feel it at all, and then other days like it's a lot. I've been getting a lot of backache as well. I never had backache with my first pregnancy. It was pretty straightforward. I was pretty comfortable most of the time, but I did also go to 39 weeks with my first and not 37. So I was 39 weeks and 4 days when I had my first son, and I'm going to be 37 weeks when I have my second. So yeah, I don't know if it's because he is getting ready to arrive, but been getting lots of bellyache, lots of backache. But yeah, only 5 more days left. His head is definitely dropped down, and I feel like he has dropped. I can breathe a bit easier. I'm still getting feet, like, I don't know if you can see, like around about here, but it's not, it doesn't feel like it's in my chest anymore. So I do feel like he has dropped, and when they've been feeling my belly and feeling where his head is, they have said that he is very nicely engaged. So yeah, hopefully he's dropped, because obviously that'll make labour a little bit easier once it gets going, once the induction is in full swing. But yeah, his head is really low down. I need to pee constantly, especially at night. But I've been drinking lots more water, and one of my cravings is actually ice. I could eat ice all day, every day, and it just makes me need to pee so badly. But his head is very, very low down and pressing on my bladder quite a lot. So fingers crossed, that's a good sign that once labour starts, he's in the right position, but it's just a bit uncomfortable right now. I found my first varicose vein. I went like 35 weeks without a varicose vein. I never got varicose veins in my first pregnancy. I didn't get my first stretch mark until 36 weeks in my first pregnancy. I've gotten plenty more in this pregnancy, but my first varicose vein, and it's not painful at all. Like, I can feel it. It's just a vein that sticks out a little bit, and I don't know if it's going to go away after delivery, but it is what it is. You know, there's a lot of pressure down there, and it's pressing on a lot of nerves that connect to your legs and your bum and everything like that. So I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised. I am surprised I managed to make it to 35 weeks without getting one. But yeah, it's not painful in any way. If they start to get painful, please talk to a doctor or your midwife, and they'll probably see if they can prescribe you something, or they might say just take pain relief if they start to hurt. And then once baby's born, see if they can be looked at again if they're still painful. But I can't feel any pain with mine. It's just one right in the crook of my leg, and I'm not that bothered. So I think the biggest thing is, because this last month has been such a whirlwind, I haven't really had chance to focus on my mental health and how this has affected me so much, because I've been so busy like focusing on baby, making sure he's okay, that I haven't had time to really sit down and focus on myself and how I'm feeling. You know, this is the last week we have as a family of 3, and you know, there's a big change coming for Teddy. You know, he's going to be a big brother, and it's a lot. He's only 3, so it's a lot for his little brain to process. He knows who his little brother is. He calls him by his name all the time, and he's so gentle around my belly, and he understands, but I don't think it's going to fully hit him until he's here and he sees him for the first time. And I think when that happens, my heart is just going to be so full, but it's going to break at the same time, because, you know, Teddy was a lockdown baby. He was born at a time when it was just me and him, and we were so isolated and by ourselves. You know, Tom still had to go to work, and it's just been me and him for so long. And yeah, he does drive me up the wall, but he's my baby. And I had him in this little bubble for so long, and it's just been this little bubble of me and Tom and Teddy, and that bubble's going to be popped. We're going to form a new bubble, but he's not going to be the only baby anymore. He's still always going to be my baby, but he's not going to be the baby. And yeah, I never had any of these feelings because I'm an only child, and I don't know how it feels. I don't know how to help him through those feelings of, you know, he might feel a bit rejected, you know, because we have to pay so much attention to this little baby that's come along. So if you guys have any tips or tricks on how to tackle those first few months with a new baby when you already have, you know, an elder one at home, please pop them in the comments, because I'm more scared about postpartum and how it's going to be with 2 kids than I am about birth itself. And the other thing that really makes me feel anxious is the fact that this is going to be the longest I've ever been away from him in 3 and a bit years. And, you know, my in-laws are coming here and staying with him, and, you know, I trust them wholeheartedly. I trust them with everything. They've raised 6 children, you know. But it's just the fact of, I'm going to see him on Monday as he's going to be an only child, and he's going to be my only baby. And then when I come back out again and I come home, he's not, and he's going to have grown tenfold in my eyes. And I'm so anxious about leaving him, and I'm going to miss him immensely. You know, but my dad-in-law turned to me and said, once you leave, you know, you need to think about yourself and think about baby. You know, Teddy's not going to be your problem for a few days. And, you know, it's going to be hard not to think about it. But that's what I'm feeling anxious about the most. And obviously induction. And I've never been induced, so I don't know how it works. I know they're going to take my cervical stitch out because they were planning on doing that at bang on 37 weeks anyways. So they're going to take my cervical stitch out, then probably do, I know I'm having the gel put in, the hormone gel, so they'll probably do that pretty much right after and see if that gets things going. But yeah, I've got a rough plan in place, so that makes me feel a bit more at ease, knowing what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. I just don't know when things are going to happen, which is the bit I'm struggling with, but it'll be okay. So let's do one final bump shot. So this is 36 weeks and 2 days pregnant. I'm definitely a lot smaller than I was this time with my first. I was a lot bigger at 36 weeks with my first, but my bump definitely feels like it's dropped. Like if I put my hand at the top of my bump, definitely feels like it's shifted down. So yeah, that's how, looking at 36 weeks. So yeah, I hope you guys have really enjoyed these pregnancy updates. I have really enjoyed filming them and keeping you guys in the loop about my pregnancy, and I feel kind of emotional it's coming to an end now because I'm not going to do this again. But we're going to try and do a birth vlog. We're going to try and film it this time. I really wanted to film my birth vlog with Teddy, but I was just so exhausted. I think I filmed 1 clip for Teddy's birth story, And it was when my labour had first started and I was just exhausted by the end, so we didn't film anything. So this time around I'm hoping that I can film a birth vlog. I'll definitely do a birth story video like I did with Teddy, but yeah, I hope you guys have really enjoyed these pregnancy updates, and the next time I see you I will have a little baby. So yeah, I'll see you very soon. Bye.